Hey y'all, what's good? Lonnie Appleton here. I am a healthy family advocate, which means I advocate for the health and wellness and balance of the family, the community, the society, the world. So I'm really putting in the work to shift the dynamic of the the earth energy, the energy of the earth, and we are the energy. If we don't like the energy we live in, we have to first check our own. So I've been tasked to come on daily at noon ish. It is 12:22 now, so I'm the only one here, so why be on time? I should come in my time, right? But I am being semi obedient because God told me to come on at noon, so 12:22 works for me, being as I'm the vehicle that is driving this. Today we are talking about Judah and Tamar, Genesis chapter 38. We're going to read. Was I going to deliver a message today? I was going to talk to you guys about something, but I'm just going to read. Yep, I'm going to read and see what comes from that. Chapter 38. At that time, Judah left his brothers, and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He married her and made love to her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son, who was named She conceived again, gave birth to a son, and named him Onan. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Dang. So apparently nobody was wicked before because the only one he put to death was the people during the Noah time. What's his name? Sodom. And then, Lot's wife got caught up in the shuffle because she looked back. So otherwise, got taken out. I wonder what was doing, because everybody out here been doing it. Hey, Miss Tay. Then Judah said to Onan, sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the child would not be his, so whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his stuff on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. That's where the pull-out method started, right here. What he did was wicked. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. Dang, so this man's sons are dropping and he don't even know why. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, live as a widow in your father's household until my son Shelah grows up, for he thought he may die too, just like his brothers. Man, ain't nobody messing with Tamar. Until it is very clear why these men are dying, ain't nobody messing with Tamar, because she seems to be the black widow. He may die too, just like his brother. So Tamar went to live in her father's household. These people ain't got no choice. Maybe Tamar was like, I'm free. She's just like, she said, I am free and I don't want to be here anymore. And they're like, nope, you are owned by our family because he wanted to marry you. And now that he's dead, it is so shameful because you have been, defiled by a man, so you can't go and restart your life. No, you are now owned by us, and the only way you're going to have any type of life is if you stay with us. So dirty tricks and games they were playing with the women back then. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. Man, everybody in Judah's life is dying. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the men who were shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went with him. When Tamar was told, your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear his sheep, she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance to Anaim, which is on the road to Timnah, for she saw that though Shelah had now grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. Not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law, he went over to her by the roadside and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you." "And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "Good job, have some dang standards." "I'll send you a young goat from my flock," he said. "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" she asked. He said, "What pledge should I give you?" "Your seal and its cord, and the staff in your hand," she answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left, she took off her veil and put on her widow's clothes again. I'm so confused why this happened. Why did this happen? Sis, now I get it. You finally spoke up and said, at least these are my requirements in order to access my body. And he was like, okay, I got you. But why did you let your father-in-law sleep with you? Why did you allow him to believe that you were a prostitute? Meanwhile, Judas sent the young goat by his friend to Adulamite in order to get his pledge back from the woman, but he did not find her. He asked the man who lived there, "Where is the shrine prostitute who was beside the road at Anaim?" He said, "There's a specific prostitute for areas, so they work their corners." "There hasn't been a shrine prostitute here," they said. So he went back to Judah and said, "I didn't find her. Besides, the man who lived there said there hasn't been any shrine prostitute here." Then Judah said, "Let her keep what she has, or we will become a laughing stock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you didn't find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution, and as a result, she is now pregnant." Oh, it's getting good, Tamar. Tamar, it's getting good. What happened then? Judah said, "Bring her out and have her burned to death." Oh man, have her burned to death. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. "I am pregnant by the man who owns these," she said, and she added, "See if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff these are." Ooh-wee. I just need to know the mentality behind this. Judah recognized him and said, "She is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shelah." And he did not sleep with her again. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand, so the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on the wrist and said, "This one came out first." But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she said, "So this is how you have broken out." And he was named Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread on his wrist, came out, and he was named Zerah. Now that was a lot to process. Whew. All right, so his son marries Tamar. But was wicked in the Lord's sight, so he was put to death. And so then he's like, okay, we need to continue the family line, so you go sleep with her. We need some more babies. So he's like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna produce with her because any of her children aren't my children. They're children somehow. And so he's spilling his seed on the floor instead of inside of her, and the Lord's not happy about that. So he's put to death. And so it said that he had 3 sons, and so he was about to, send his 3rd son up, but then he ran into her and didn't know who she was, and she didn't reveal who she was because clearly she knew who her father-in-law was, but she didn't tell him who she was. And slept with him and was like, okay, I'll sleep with you for a goat. So she was down to sleep with him. And she clearly didn't need the goat because she didn't stay there for the goat. But she got the stuff so later she could come back and be uplifted, like have a higher place in the family because I'm carrying daddy's baby. Because this is a son, not a grandson now. So that was heavy, y'all. Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Oh yeah, Potiphar's wife. I've seen many sermons preached about this one. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, this is some Emmett Till stuff. An Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge. Notice that, just pay attention to that. The less favored will notice the favored and align with them so that they can get any cast off. When you're blessed, it overflows. It's not just, there's areas, of course, but the blessings still overflow off of you and onto the people. I know for a fact that my family is blessed because of me. And I'm not saying I'm not blessed because of my family, but I know for a fact everywhere I've gone my entire life, anywhere I go, that place is blessed and it is prosperous in the time that I'm there. And the problems that it had before I showed up no longer have that problem. I'm also a solution finder, so that might be the thing, my gift into the space that I enter. But what I'm saying is, if you are favored by the Lord, you're one of God's favorites, you'll notice that people will attach themselves to you like parasites. So just pay attention to that. And that the Lord gave him success in everything he did. Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge in his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. So Potiphar trusted Joseph so much that he gave him care of everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So that just makes me think of, you're out here, because I'm reading this Bible for you guys to hear, but I'm reading the Bible so that I can apply it to my life, right? And so I am manifesting, contracts and deals and, speaking engagements and those types of things. And so as I read this, I'm aligning it to emotional development, spiritual development, the treatment, psychology of the people here, as well as, Potiphar saw Joseph as a way to prosper. Someone will see me as a way to prosper, and they will align with me and use me because we're using each other. They will prosper me as I prosper, they prosper. So when these deals are being struck, it's the duration of the deal and it's the terms of the deal. Potiphar gained greatly from striking the deal with Joseph simply by allowing Joseph the freedom to be his first in charge. I gotta go tell these kids to be quiet. Hold on. But allowing Joseph to be his first in charge, Potiphar actually was gained from that, but Joseph was as well. Boys, if you want to play like that, please go outside. Okay. We're not doing that in the house, okay? Okay. And did Andre say that you can play with that? No, what's it? So go put it where it belongs. Don't just throw it on the ground. So people are going to come into your life all the time and they're going to see how they can profit from you. And you have to see how you can profit from them. And as you both see how you can profit from each other, is it favorable? If it's not, then it's not for you. Every deal's not good. Every deal's not bad. You have to sit down and look at the terms. And if you're getting out of it what you want and they're getting out of it what they want, then it's a fair deal. Deals have been struck all throughout the Bible. Some of them have been bad terms, some of them have been fair terms, and some of them have been denied. So it's up to you to understand when someone approaches you. And yes, the deals that I'm paying attention to are business deals, but the deals you may need to pay attention to are the jobs you choose to take, the relationships you choose to entertain, the friendships you choose to entertain. Whatever it is that you're processing through in your life, you have to make sure that it aligns with you getting what you want out of it. Is it just enough to get a car if it has an oil leak and the oil just pours out the car and you have to keep oil in the back of the car just to keep the car running? Is that a blessing? Because now you're spending all this money on oil, or you get a job and it's so far away from your house that you're literally spending a car note in gas just to get to and from work. Is that job truly a blessing? So you have to discern when these deals present themselves in your life. Are they truly deals that favor you? Because they're all deals, but some aren't blessings. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate, which means Joseph had everything, all the responsibility. When I was at that wellness center, it sounds like that. When I was at that wellness center, I did everything. It got to the point where she had appointments and I was showing up for her appointments because she was running late. So I was doing everything at the wellness center and she was just showing up. She just concerned herself with what she ate while I was doing all the work. So it was a very one-sided deal that did not benefit me. But I learned a lot from it. So even though Joseph is doing everything in Potiphar's kingdom, I don't know what it is called, even though Joseph's doing everything and Potiphar just has to worry about what he eats, yes, Joseph is putting in a lot of labor. Joseph is putting a lot out. And even if you do strike a bad deal, which for me with the wellness center was my first bad deal, was my first time knowingly, I've done it my whole life, but this is my first time selling my soul, which means I accepted less than I deserve. I accepted things that I knew weren't a blessing, that were just something to tide me over, but I needed it. I was so desperate that I needed it. That is what I have done, and that is what I'm aware of. So now that I am ascending to higher levels in my life, I can recognize it. Now, this ain't God. I know I've been praying for it, but this manifestation isn't God, because the devil hears your prayers too. So just pay attention to that. But even if you do find that you have chosen to enter something that you wake up and you recognize this isn't of God, just know that there's still lessons in there, because God is in everything. Nothing is void of God. Nothing. And you can always learn, and I learned a lot from the wellness center. I just taught a lesson right there from what I learned from the wellness center. So even in the darkness, you can find the light. And that's the beauty of God, that even when you use that free will and you go in the wrong direction, you still can pull something out of it and pull yourself out of it. Now, Joseph was well built and handsome. He had a nice little body on him, y'all. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to my bed with me." But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in this house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. And then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Yeah. I don't know about Potiphar, but I ain't going up against God. Yeah, a lot of y'all getting spared because of God. I'll check you, but I can't cross God. So, peace. Be gone. I can't get you like I want to get you. Not like I want to get you, but how I would have got you in the past. Because to cross you is to cross God. Crossing you isn't crossing God, but doing something out of character that I know that God would not be approving of is crossing God. So I'ma just sit back and let God handle you, because you're to mess with God's favorite. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I ain't supposed to mess with you regardless of what you say to me. And it ain't crossing Potiphar. He didn't say my ethics won't allow me to do it. He was like, I ain't messing with God. You see all this favor around me? You think I'm gonna mess that up for you? Man. apparently there's prostitutes everywhere. I'm gonna go get it somewhere else. Yo's ain't that special, sis. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, so she was applying pressure, he refused to go to bed with her and even be with her. Ain't that something? She was just like, I'm going to use my power and influence. Every day. Could you imagine waking up every day and there's somebody on you trying to get you to do something that you have flat out said you don't want to do? Man, and you can't leave, you stuck there? The harassment of it all. One day he went to the house to attend to his duties and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. This is the second time. Second time something was left behind with a chick. What happens? When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make a sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." Emmett Till. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then she told him this story. "That Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." When his master heard the story of his wife that his wife told, saying, "This is how your slave treated me," he burned with anger. He ignored his wife so much that she's trying to sleep with the help because he doesn't care what's going on at the house. He's out here collecting wives. So this woman has just been left and ignored, but she's still his possession. We leave a lot of things in our life ignored, but we still feel like it's our possession. If you feel that it is your possession, it is your duty to take care of it, whatever it is. If it's your car, you ain't been maintaining it and taking care of it, don't get mad if something happens to it. You ain't been taking care of it. If it's your family, somebody else getting your kids here and they start, telling your kids stuff and your kids come home and they're like, "Well, so-and-so said." Why would so-and-so ever be able to get in your kid's ear if you were already in their ear and you were the most powerful voice they heard? When I was in the stepmother, baby mama drama era of my life, I knew that my voice would be the weakest voice in those children's ears. I knew that their mother's voice would be the loudest voice in their ears. So no matter what I said, right or wrong, they would not listen to me because my voice didn't matter. So if your children are coming to you and they're repeating somebody else's tutelage, that means that they are listening to someone else besides you. But those are your kids and your possessions. So why are you leaving them out there? You got to figure out how to reach your children. Your spouse, if your spouse is coming to you and telling you what they're experiencing, you can't say, "Well, I do this, this, and this." It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you think. If your spouse is coming to you and telling you there's a void, fill the void, or have a conversation where you're healing the void so that you can move past the void. But if you just continue to leave the void, now it is a determination of, you won't even know if I sleep with someone else, but God will. So I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to do it because you're fulfilling me. I'm not going to do it because my strength and character, my relationship with my God, my journey in life will not allow me to do it. It will prohibit me from doing that. So you have to make sure that the things that are, this is a message to myself too, we have to make sure that the things that aren't happening in our lives are because of the work that we're putting in, or are the things that aren't happening in our lives because of we just picked a good one. You know what I'm saying? I can definitely say my husband doesn't cheat on me because my husband's not a cheater. My husband can definitely say I don't cheat on him because I'm not a cheater. We both can say that we have not put in the work in the relationship to keep each other happy and satisfied, to keep us to where we would not stray. My husband has definitely left me out there, and I have definitely left my husband out there. And if you can admit to yourself that, not saying there's anything you can do, because before you chose a partner who had strength and character, period. So if they have strength and character, you already ain't got to worry about nothing. But you also have to do the work, and you can't take that for granted. My husband's not cheating on me because I know my husband's not cheating on me because that's outside of his code of ethics. But just because I know that doesn't mean I just leave him out there. I don't take that for granted. I still show up for him, and he still shows up for me. Goes back and forth. Energy exchange. This is how your slave treated me. He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. Dang, he got thrown in prison, and Matilda got ripped apart. But while Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. The cupbearer and the baker, chapter 40. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. So first I see Joseph going to prison, but when he gets to prison, he's covered by the Lord so much so that he has free will. I don't know what free reign or whatnot looks like in an Egyptian prison, but I can see, even though you may be going through a shutdown, lockdown in your life, you're still covered. So know that you're still covered. No matter what is happening in your life, if you walk with God, you are still covered. So even what you've experienced, just know it could be worse. So be in gratitude instead of focusing on what is happening to you. Be in gratitude and knowing that you are being protected by things seen and unseen, known and unknown, because you are God's child. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream. Because remember, Joseph ended up here. Joseph ended up here because his brothers sold him. The same night, in each dream, sold him into slavery to the Egyptians. That's how Joseph ended up in Potiphar's kingdom. I don't know what to call it. The same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Dreams have y'all, man, when I tell you, I have a homework assignment this week to sleep on my back with a book on my stomach. And then when I'm ready to go to sleep, I could take the book off. I don't know what I'm supposed to get from this, but this is my assignment for the week. When I tell you what was revealed to me last night or this morning around 5 a.m., but when I woke up, when I'm lucid dreaming or receiving messages, I don't know the difference. But when I'm asleep and I realize that I'm receiving a message, I slow everything down and okay, I need to be cognizant enough in my conscious brain to remember this so when I wake up, I can write this down. So I started trying to, actually manipulate what's going on in it, i.e., start thinking into what I'm receiving, so start processing into what I'm receiving so that I can make a connection point with it. But yeah, what I received was so freaking good last night. And as soon as I opened my eyes, I lost it. But I have the essence of it. So something really important is unlocking inside of me. Dreams are important. That whole spiel was to say dreams are important. When Joseph came to them, but the beautiful thing about dreams is you're supposed to create Same thing with meditation. Meditation isn't just a meditative state. Meditation, or just a time for meditation, 10, 15 minutes, an hour a day. Meditation is to train you to live your life in a meditative state. Dreams aren't just for when you're sleeping. Dreaming is so that you can figure out how that power of your consciousness is off guard, and now your subconscious can freely create. Now you can create realities and come out of your dream state and actually live the reality that you created in your head. So all the work that you're not able to do in the physical world, you can now do in your dream state once you learn how to control your dreams, and now you can actually start living your dreams. When Joseph came to them the next morning, it's a working theory, so that's all I got, but it's possible. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked Pharaoh's officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." Then Joseph said to them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams. Do not interpretations belong to your higher consciousness? You don't need to go on Google. You can go to Google for support and those types of things and find something so that you can start learning, because guaranteed, your dreams are dictating your life. Your dreams are a manifestation of your reality. Now, those of you out here doing crazy stuff in your dreams, you're like, nah, sis, not me. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the standard person. Spirit is going to reach you and teach you however Spirit can reach you and teach you. And in that, it is for you to confer with Spirit what that dream meant. How did it make you feel? I was talking to a woman, I was telling her my dream, and I was like, I don't know, but I remember how this person made you feel. And I felt like she was me, even though she didn't look like me. And she was like, well, then she was. What do you feel? Trust yourself. That is how you develop your intuition. When you continuously go outside of yourself to find the answers, you are not going inside to create that understanding. Therefore, you can develop your intuition. This time last year, my intuition was crap. But I also made the intention to, no matter what I hear in my head, I'm going to listen. And the times that I listen and it turns out favorable, that was intuition. How did I feel? How did it sound? Everything. Was there any resistance in my body? I channel a lot when I write. So when I start trying to write the things that I want to write instead of what I'm receiving, my hand literally fights me. And so you have to understand what certain things feel like within your body, because your body is a compass. Your body is telling you what Spirit wants you to know if you paid attention to your body. So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream, and he said to him, "In my dream I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand." Oh, Pharaoh liked to drink fresh squeezed grapes. "This is what it means," Joseph said to him. "The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position. And you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." Joseph really ain't done nothing. Joseph was just born to Rachel, who Leah hated, raised her sons to hate their brother, whole little family feud going within. And I'm a blended family, so I definitely understand siblings not liking siblings simply because of proximity. You live with my dad full time and I don't live with my dad full time, so I have a problem with you. And the problem wasn't there because all of our kids were friends before we got together. The problem came because the mother re-entered the picture. Pay attention to what seeds you're planting within your children, mothers. You could be teaching your children how to hate their siblings. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. See? I'm not asking nobody what my dream means, because I don't want that. And I wonder if he would have not gotten that interpretation, what would have come to pass. In 3 days, he just would have been shocked, like, what's going on? I know Spirit is always leaving breadcrumbs before us to let us know what's going to happen. It's crazy. I'm editing videos from August 2023 because I have over 200 drafts. Make sure you're following the community if you're not. There's good stuff coming out right now. Always been good stuff, but it's good stuff. If you don't understand what I'm saying, scroll to my content that speaks the language that you understand, and then move up. I'm moving all of my content over to YouTube into a TikTok compilation folder or a playlist so that you can easily go and watch my earlier videos instead of having to scroll down 1,000 videos. So it's easier. It's a compilation, 3 to 4 videos in one set instead of 3-minute video, 3-minute video, 3-minute video. It's a 9-minute video, 7 to 9-minute video of the series. Anyway, I'm editing videos right now from August, and the things that I'm theorizing at the time, I know certain now. So in August, the things that I was talking about where I was just like, I think, maybe, I'm saying those things because breadcrumbs, seeds are like, it's awakening in myself. So the things were put before me for me to start entertaining the ideas so that 5 months later, I have developed it over time, but it started way back then. So for me to think, oh, this is what's going on. No, now that's why I tell you guys, document your life, journal, make videos, take photos, however you want to document your life, what is authentic to you, but document your life. Document your life for your next generation because you are someone's ancestor and they're going to want to know about you. You should think that you're important enough to be known. At least your grandkids want to know who you are. At least your children, the things that you kept from them, they want to know. My daughter was like, I can't wait till you die so I can read your journals. I was like, sis, just read the journals now. Ain't nothing in there I'm trying to hide. You ain't got to wait for me to die. You done already snuck and read my journals, but my journals aren't. I'm going to publish my journals because there's life solutions in my journals. You know what I'm saying? So, you should want to leave a sort of legacy for your family. You should want to be known by your family after your death. And I'm not telling you to publish these things. I publish these things. That is my calling and my work to do in this lifetime. But what I'm saying is, if you do record different conversations and different thoughts and you write them down or however you do it, you can always go back to that later and see how your life stacked up. How this led to this, led to this, led to this. And you're going to see why your life looks the way that it looks. Now the third day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. I'm going to keep it G. All these people that I meet along my path that have access to resources and they could look out for me and they choose not to look out for me, I'm taking note. I'm taking note. Especially these people walking and talking as if they're spiritual beings. And I understand they're not called to be a part of my story, which is fine. But please don't come up here like no Pharaoh and be like, I see you walk with the Lord and I'm trying to get on your vapor. No. Because when I came to you and I said you have access to a stage and a microphone, can you put me on? And you said yes, you would. And then when you got up there, thank you for the love. And then when you got up there, you forgot about me. You forgot about me. I'm taking note. Because the thing that we need to stop doing, and it pisses me off, the thing that we need to stop doing is only looking out for people when it benefits us. Yesterday, some things were bought for the household. And I was like, these things been being needed for years, for months in this household. At any time, you could have bought those things for the household, but you waited to buy those things. Why? Because somewhere in the time frame that you decided to buy those things, it was of benefit to you. Yes, it benefited the household. Thank you. But if it was truly for the household, the moment that the problem started, the solution would have happened. If you were looking out for the household, but you were looking out for the inconvenience of yourself, and now you are solving the inconvenience of yourself, which benefits the household. Therefore, I am not blinded by that. So when someone says, yes, I will partner with you and I got you, but something happens to where they no longer need your side of the partnership, so they drop the ball completely. They have just energetically created an energy imbalance of them saying they're going to do something and they don't follow through. But the key is, why didn't they follow through? Because there was no longer a benefit to them, which means they wasn't doing it for you, for your benefit anyway. Do you understand? We must energetically stop doing that. If we say we're going to do something, do it. Because you are opening an energetic door by saying, yes, I'll look into it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, I'm going to read it. Hey, you should read this. All right, I will. Boom. You said you would. Now, it matters to me little whether you do it or not. But you said you will. You opened an energetic door. So the only way to close that door or to bring balance to that door is to actually do what you said you were going to do, or say, actually, I'm not. And that's how you close the door. We are constantly creating energetic imbalances within our lives multiple times a day, and then we wonder why our lives are out of balance. Also, if you can be of benefit or resource to someone, if you're watching my videos and you're like, yo, I know somebody who could benefit from this, share the link. I know that she could benefit from me double tapping the screen. Double tap the screen. That tells TikTok, yo, this is good. Some people else, that I'll show it to other people. You know, if you know that you can show up for someone else, whatever that looks like, you have to get real creative. How can I, if you want to increase your blessings in this lifetime, in lifetimes to come, because once you pass on, you have access to that ancestral, what do they call it? Library. We'll call it a library right now. Every lifetime that you have lived, collective consciousness across dimensions is all right here in your pineal gland. This is a developing theory, so that's all I got for you. But I know I can access everything. If I go to my history database, my historical database, I know I can access everything, this timeline, across dimensions, across time arc, across timelines, past, present, and future. I have access to it. I have access to collective consciousness. So if I need to tap into a great leader that has passed on, Maya Angelou, I'm trying to spit like Maya. I can tap into her energetic vibration because we are all energy, and I can tap into whatever it is I need in order to accomplish what I need to accomplish. But in order to vibrate at a frequency where I can receive that, all these people talking about they talking to God, what is their energetic vibration? Because God's not going to enter the chat until you are vibrationally aligned to where you can hear from God. You got to hear from yourself before you can even hear from God. So all these people talking about I talk to God and God bless me and God this and God that. Pay attention. God doesn't dwell in depression. God doesn't dwell in negative energy. God is in everything, yes. But energetically, vibrationally, being able to align yourself with that which what moves mountains, the faith which what moves mountains, the faith that creates realities, you can't be on your knees while you're doing that. You have to be at your highest possible frequency in order to receive high frequency. So just pay attention to that. In any way that you can look out for somebody, look out for them, period. Right now I'm dropping these videos where me and my daughter are going to take a coat and a blanket and some food to a homeless man. Why? Because my daughter wanted me to help her cook some food, and I was just like, okay, I can show up for you. I'm not doing anything that I can't not do. I'm always doing something. Even when I'm doing nothing, I'm doing something. I don't like to be interrupted in my nothing. Don't you see me doing nothing? Don't interrupt me. So I'm always doing something. But she came in here and she's like, Mom, I want to cook some chicken nuggets. Will you help me? And I was like, let me show up for my kid. Yeah, I got to talk myself through everything. Let me show up for my kid. So I go to make chicken nuggets, but my family members have a bad habit of leaving meat in the refrigerator and it goes bad. I don't know why, especially with meat being so dang expensive. Well, it's not expensive. That's lack thinking. So anyway, she pulls the chicken out and she opens it up and it smells, so she can't make chicken nuggets, but she has this free coupon to Jack in the Box. So she goes, will you take me to Jack in the Box? And it's midnight, and I just like, no, girl, and I've been enjoying my life. I've been enjoying my life sitting in the house, so I ain't got no responsibility, so I'm chilling. But I was like, sure, no skin off my back. It's right across the street. So I take her across the street, and while we're driving through the parking lot, there's three entrances actually, but there's two entrances that would have put me at the restaurant. I choose the one that's furthest away from the restaurant because I don't know why. Well, I know why now, right? We don't know why we're doing what we're doing, but if we're walking with God and we're fulfilling our purpose here in life, we always know why. We don't need to know why. We just know why. And so I'm driving through the parking lot and I see this young man who's standing, in the cut, and he's wrapped up in what looks like a sheet. I was like, man, that baby is cold. And then I take my daughter to go get her food. And the lady at the drive-thru, she's grumbling at us, and I'm just like, man, she having a bad day. I get it. I'd be mad if I had to work at, midnight dealing with, people, yada, yada, yada. I get it. And so I didn't match her energy. In the past, I would have matched her energy. She gonna tell me, I said, hold on, or whatever she said to me. And I was, I would have been like, shh, matched her energy. But I was like, no, how is matching her energy going to serve me? How is matching her energy going to align with my God relationship? Is my matching her energy going to please my God? No, what is going to please my God? 111, everybody go through the portal. What's going to be pleasing to my God? What's going to be pleasing to my God is showing up for someone who clearly is in distress. And just show up by smiling. Just show up by laughing. Just show up by saying it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So I started de-escalating her energy at the little box situation. And then when we went around, and she opened the window, I continued to de-escalate her energy there and let her know this is a safe space, sis. You ain't got to nut up with me, and I'm not going to nut up back. And so then we go home, and I say something to my daughter, and I'm like, there's a guy over there, and we should bring him a coat. And she's like, yeah, we should. Or it could, I don't know where the idea came from, but, we both agreed to go to the house and get the young man a coat. Well, the rest is in the videos. I'm dropping them right now. So go check out the videos. But just know that twofold. When you are walking with God, you are always going to be in the right place at the right time. That young man was in the right place at the right time, and he may feel that God has forgotten him, but God has not forgotten him, because he had me drive through that parking lot at 12 a.m. Someplace I shouldn't have been. I usually ain't there. Usually she gonna ask me to go to the dang thing at 12 in the morning. Hell no, she better go to sleep. So no matter what you're going through and you feel like God has forgotten about you, just pay attention to how many blessings surround you. Even at your lowest point, how many blessings still surround you? And start counting your blessings, literally. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Count your blessings so that you can show gratitude for the things that you typically take for granted. And I'm out here doing the work that needs to be done. There's this coat that I gave the young man that when I cleared my house several videos back, I cleared my house in December because I was told to go into the new year with new energy. So I was told to clear my house in December. So the video's in December. But it was at that time I was told to give that. I wasn't told. I was just like, I need to give this coat away. I finally need to give this dang coat away. I've been carrying this coat around for 20 years. I need to give it away. I was like, man, it's such a nice coat. And especially in our current financial situation, I can't replace this coat even if I wanted to. Like, why am I going to give my only coat away? It's cold. But when you're faced with someone who has less than you, it's real easy to give things away, because it's like, no, I'm not in the position to replace a coat that I have only worn a handful of times in the 20 years that I've had it, because I live in the desert and there's really no need for me to wear a coat, except for maybe once a year, because I stay in the house. I don't leave the house. It's cold out there, but I'm in here. It's real easy when you see someone freezing, because the temperatures are 30-something degrees, and that's minus the wind chill. So when you see someone out there freezing, it now becomes easy for you to release the coat, because who needs the coat? Your pride and your ego and your memories and your whatever you have attached to the coat, that's what needs the coat. I don't need the coat. But this young man who is standing here in what turned out to be one of those moving blankets, them flimsy little felty moving blankets that they put people in.
I forgot my shoes.
Yeah, but you have no right to come in my room like that, especially with my door being locked. So please leave my room.
Sure.
Caden,
Yes?
you need to choose to be respectful. Michael, don't keep your shoes in my room, because I don't want you entering my room to get to your shoes. So keep them in a space that you always have access to. Lock my door and leave my room, please. Thank you. And so, these are things that I identify as miracles. Going through that drive-through and being a light to the woman, that was a miracle. She was caught in a cycle of darkness, and I was able to bring her out of that cycle of darkness simply by being a decent human being, simply by asking myself, how can I be a blessing to this other human? I didn't have to give her no money. I didn't have to give her no time. Didn't have to do nothing. All I had to do was smile at her and tell her it's okay. I was a miracle and a blessing in her world. And now because she is in this energetic space, now she can go off and be a miracle and a blessing to someone else. And that someone else can go and be a miracle and a blessing to someone else. So stop going through life, if that can be the message today. Stop going through life thinking, what's in it for me? Start going through life thinking, how can I be a blessing to others? Because when you are out here looking to be a blessing to others, you don't know who you're blessing. It doesn't matter. Stop trying to bless your friends. Oh, that's a stranger. I have nothing for you. No, we are the collective. No one is a stranger. We are all connected. You know the next man's struggle because we all go through the same struggle. That's the motherfucking program. So stop looking at, I'm only going to look out for certain people. Start looking at, how can I bless as many people in a day as I can? And again, it can simply be a smile. It can simply be you see someone struggling to get something off of a top shelf and you're like, may I help you? It can simply be that you see someone's hungry and you can say, hey, can I get you something? Why? Because you don't know where your blessings are flowing from. Your blessings aren't just coming from people who know you. Your blessings aren't just coming from sources that you're aware of. Your blessings are coming from everywhere, and you know that because you are blessing everything. You limit your blessings by limiting your blessing. So expand your possibilities by showing up every single way that you can for yourself and others. And that's how you expand your field of awareness, your reach, your ability to be blessed beyond measure, pressed down, and all that other stuff. We ain't made it that far, so I don't know the verse verbatim, but that's how you get the overflow, because you begin to overflow. I am so sick of being in the chapter of Genesis. I'm going to read Pharaoh's dream, and then we'll stop on chapter 42 for today. There are 55 chapters, or 50, what is it, 50 or 55? There are 50 chapters in the book of Genesis. Okay, well, you're going to have to wait. You have like 6 jackets. Why do you only have one and it happens to be in my room? You got to use y'all's brain. I'm sick of thinking for everybody. It's exhausting. Here, Michael.
Well, my jacket.
I don't have your jacket, Caden. And Caden, you're not going anywhere with them 2 small pajama pants on. Go put on some real clothes. You know that ain't right. Go put on some jeans.
I have the same.
Thank you for getting some socks, but my concern is the pants.
So look, I have the same blue dots.
I know you have on blue socks and match your blue shoes, but what are you doing with the Tickle Me Elmo pants? Take those off. Those aren't for outside the house. Just go put on a pair of jeans, okay?
Okay. Have the same color.
How can I be a blessing to my children? No, I don't want to open the door, but he needs his coat. Yes, he got other coats he could go find, and I can stand my ground. Or I can be like, okay, he needs a coat. That was an opportunity for me to show up for myself and show up for my kid. That was an opportunity for me to shift my energy from my typical behavior and shift it to a no. You want to know why your family dynamic isn't moving? You want to know why your personal life isn't moving? You want to know why your energy isn't moving? It's because those small little things and the small little opportunities for you to catch those small little wins to get you to those big wins aren't being taken advantage of. Pharaoh's dreams, plural, more than one. Chapter 41. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the riverbank. And then the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dream, but no one could interpret them for him. Magicians have entered the chat. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I was watching, Keenan and Kel from Good Burger. Kel is a pastor. And I clicked on the sound. I don't really like to listen to pastors. They don't be talking about nothing. But I clicked on the audio real quick, and he was just talking about how they're gonna try to come at you with all these things like witches and warlocks and all this like, why does somebody have to be the enemy all the time? Why does someone's faith have to be the enemies? I remember when I used to sit in church, it was all about Islam. Islam was the enemy. Now Islam's cool, but we can't mess with them other people. But it just bothers me when the fear and hate mongering is the message of the pastor. And I know a lot of us who do believe in magic and practice magic and, root work and the arts of our ancestors, because that's all it is our ancestral rites that we are partaking in. A lot of us have turned our backs on this book because a certain group feels they have ownership of this book. A certain group, or a large majority of them, don't even read this book. They just go listen to somebody else who read the book. And that's why God told me to read the book. Because people like us deserve to have a relationship with God too. With Jesus too. I walk with God. I walk with Jesus. I do not profess that Jesus is the only way to a relationship with God. I got a relationship directly with God. But I got a relationship directly with JC too. I rock with both of them, all of them, and everybody else. I got a whole spirit team. Every single one of my ancestors showing up for me, making sure I'm cool. Every single one of the archangels showing up for me, making sure I'm cool. I ain't really connected with the aliens and all them yet, so I ain't even gonna sit here and say, because I've heard other people say that. Now I gotta say it because I'm feigning spirituality. No, my spiritual walk, I walk with God. The same God that you walk with probably. But you think my God is different simply because I choose to tap into my ancestors' magic. And because I tap into my ancestors' magic, I'm not even allowed to touch this book. I'm evil. Meanwhile, the same thought. You look good. Good job, kiddo. Yeah, I like it. You look good.
I am red.
You are wearing red. Red and blue. You look good, kiddo.
Red and blue.
You look good. Good job.
Blue, and blue.
Make sure you put the little strappy things on your shoes.
Put the strappy thing on my shoes?
You see how your shoes has the strap?
Yeah. I think the dad, but the mother don't have that on his.
I know, but you need to make sure your strap is closed because you need to make sure you see it to completion.
Okay.
See it all the way through. And shut my door. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about.
You want them?
Oh, you didn't do me a favor. You did yourself a favor. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings. See? Today I'm reminded of my shortcomings. Pharaoh was once angry with his servant, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning." 2 years later, the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. giving each man the interpretation of his dreams, and things turned out exactly as he interpreted them for us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impaled. Before I go further, there's a lot in that little paragraph. The cupbearer who made a promise, soon as, in his distress, in his, oh my God, what's going on? And he's like, yes, I'll give you anything. What do you want? Just make it okay. So he made this deal with Joseph and said, yo, of course I'll tell Pharaoh about you. Why? Because it benefits me when I made that promise. In order for you to interpret this dream for me, I must give you what you want. What do you want in return? Oh, to tell Pharaoh about you? I got you. But the moment he no longer needed that person, he forgot his side of the deal. We can't walk like that. We must continuously be men, women, and people of our words, period. Whether it benefits us at the time we made the promise, there was a benefit for us. There was a young man that I was working with because my goal is to get on stages, period. I got to deliver this message, and I don't like sitting on this bed delivering this message for 3 people at a time. This message has to get out. I need the feedback of the people. I only show up every day because I made a promise to God. I only show up every day because I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't show up because I'm getting anything from this. I got from my side what I see. I have 16 likes, and I appreciate those 16 likes. I'm not discrediting those 16 likes, but I've been on here for an hour spitting hot fire, and I'm getting nothing except for knowing that I'm fulfilling a promise that I made to God. And so I had an agreement. My goal is to stage. That is the point. My goal is to stage, to actually get to the people so that I can expand past this. And so I'm talking to a young man, and I was just, he's, I talked to him first, and he finds out that I'm a relationship and life coach. And I'm like, well, I can trade service with you. I can coach you. You can, thank you, preaching the truth. I appreciate everything you are saying and receiving it. And that's beautiful. Just give me that feedback, right? Double tap the screen, share the live, leave a message there, so I know that I'm not out here talking to myself. You know what I'm saying? I have evolved past the space of, well, nobody's here, click off. I've evolved past that energy. Thank you. I've evolved past focusing on that number and up in the corner, and that being why, this is the energy I'm going to give, or this isn't the energy I'm going to give. I've evolved past that, but it still makes me feel good to know that I'm helping others evolve, grow, receive, and do what they need to do, Energetic exchange. Thank you, sis. And so, well, I don't know if you're sis, but sweet love, thank you. And so, anything, I'm going to exchange service with this young man. And I'm like, okay, I can coach you through a session. And he's like, well, there's an event coming up December 16th. I know I for sure can get you on the mic at that event. And I'm like, cool, get me on the mic. I got you. Well, he wanted a couples counseling service with his girl. His girl doesn't feel that they need counseling or couples therapy, because I'm not a counselor, but couples therapy. So it's not always the men who are resistant. The women are resistant as well. So he goes and talks to his girl, and he's like, yo, I found us a coach. She's willing to yada, yada, yada. And yes, hey, Miss Linda, thank you. So sis doesn't want to do it. And so he messages me and was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and work on our issues by ourselves. And I'm sitting here thinking, bruh, if you could work on your issues by yourself, you would have worked on your issues by yourself. Stop disillusioning yourself to think that you could work through what you haven't been able to work through with the same skills if you're not out there trying to get some more skills. Sometimes you got to pay to play. Sometimes you got to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself isn't more this, more this, more this, more this. Investing in yourself is getting the tools that can help you go in and dig deeper. And sometimes somebody anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, because he no longer needed my coaching services because this girl said she doesn't want to go to coaching, he no longer followed through with getting me on stage on the 16th. And I was just like, yo, you just closed a huge energetic portal. You just blocked yourself from a huge energetic portal. Because being a blessing to me automatically sets you up to be blessed because I am God's child. I am out here doing God's work. And that's not the point that I wanted to make, but I made a point there. But with the cupbearer, he no longer, boom, that's the point that I wanted to make. The cupbearer no longer needed to fulfill his agreement and his promise to Joseph because he no longer needed Joseph. This guy no longer had to fulfill his agreement and promise to me to get me on stage because he no longer needed me. You don't screw people over just because I made the deal when I needed you, and now that I no longer need you, I'm going to renege on my end of the deal. That's not how you operate and think you're going to go through life being blessed. So 2 years have passed. Joseph has sat in prison for 2 additional years when this man could have just opened his mouth and been a man of integrity and a man of his word and just simply said, yo, such and such, boop de boop, got old boy out. Or whatever the outcome would have been, he would have did his part. And whatever Pharaoh did out of that, after that, ain't none of the cupbearer's responsibility. I did what I said I was going to do. I mentioned you to the Pharaoh. That was my piece of the deal. What happens after that has nothing to do with me. 2 years later, when it benefited him to come to Pharaoh and be like, yo, there's this guy. Now, once again, he can honor his deal, but is he honoring his deal because he remembered he dropped a ball, or is he honoring his deal because now it can benefit to me because now I look favorable to Pharaoh? So what is his motivation for now being a blessing? What is anyone's motivation once God starts rising me through the ranks and people be like, yo, I kind of got a rapport with her. Let me go see if I could pull up on her. You know, I talked to her before. Let me go see if I could pull up on her. No. Access is denied because when you had a chance to be a blessing, you chose selfish desires. Merch available at LonnieLifestyle.com. True selfishness is selflessness. You elevate yourself by elevating others. You take care of yourself by figuring out how you can take care of others. Different point, but the point is, this cupbearer kept his promise only when it became beneficial for them to keep their promise, which is faulty. Keep your promise because you made a promise. Now let's look at this another way. You put energy out there and you're like, man, this person said they were going to look out for me. Here I am, 24 months later, still ain't looked out for me. But if you have a promise on your life and God has called for you to do the work, you don't know why you're in the position that you're in. I don't know why God has me in the space that I'm in. I'm appreciative for the 3 people that are here because the 3 people are here because they need something that is being given. I am here to be of service, no matter if it makes sense to me or not. But understand that other things are in work and other things are in play. And if it even takes 2 years for them to manifest, as long as I keep knowing and showing up that I have been promised and God has not forgotten about me, it may take 2 years, but something's going to happen to where it comes back to me. So wait, be encouraged, continue to be fruitful, continue to sow them seeds, continue to believe, because one thing our God, my God, very personal relationship, one thing my God will not do is allow their word to return void. What has been promised to me has been promised to me, has been promised to me. And as long as I continue to show up and fight through the discouragements of this physical reality, what's been promised to me, it may take some time, But all of that comes full circle. All of that comes full circle. Preach. I need to hear it. I need to hear it too, baby. I need to hear it too. I need to hear it too. I'm talking to myself. I came here, amen, sweet love. I came here with an agenda to talk about value versus worth. But I was like, no, I'm just going to go ahead and read the scripture today because I was being lazy. I ain't even got clothes on. I put a hoodie on over my nightgown. I was 22 minutes late. I was just like, I'm here though. But what I'm saying is I'm delivering a word for myself because I've been discouraged because I'm just like, I'm not seeing any movement, God. I literally am showing up. You know, I done showed up for 2 weeks. I'm feeling myself. I'm like I've been showing up for a long time, but this agreement to show up every day at noon Mountain Standard Time, it is 1:38 right now. So an hour and a half and 8 minutes ago, I go live every day, Monday through Saturday. So make sure you come and join me. I may be a little late because this ain't a job. So I'm going to show up when I show up, but I'm here. And the more of you who show up routinely, I saw Miss Tay. Miss Tay click on every day. I'm here. So I will show up on time for you guys, but there has to be someone to show up for. You know what I'm saying? It's a partnership. It's an energetic exchange. Otherwise, I'm going to just show up when it's convenient for me, but I'm going to show up because I promised God that I'll show up. But now when people start showing up, now this is an agreement between us. I'm giving you something, you're giving me something, and now we can work together and grow each other and heal each other and be a part of each other's community. That's all this is sharing love. That's all we are doing. I am energetically pouring into you, and you are energetically pouring into me, whatever that looks like. Let me finish this so we can go, because we were supposed to be done at 1:22 and it's 1:39, but you know what, sister's gonna run her mouth. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream and no one can interpret it. But I have, do you see, no one, not the magicians, not nobody. Nobody could interpret it. Joseph was the only one. Do you understand? You are the only one to do what it is that you are called to do in this lifetime, period. That's it. So as long as you continue to develop yourself and walk with God and do what you know what you're supposed to be doing, you are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are continuing to be prepared. So it is for you to continuously learn what it is and continuously to grow and evolve yourself. Because when the blessing shows up, if you are not ready for the blessing, it becomes a curse. And your God's not trying to curse you. Your God is trying to bless you. But if you are not doing the work, you cannot be blessed. If God gave me $1 million yesterday, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. If God gives me $1 million today, I'm not going to say I know what to do with it, but I know how to not be overcome by it. Do you understand that you have to be able to receive your blessing? So in the 2 years where you're waiting for full circle to come around, how are you preparing yourself? Because you are constantly in belief and knowing that my God don't lie. Now, I don't know how you're going to show up, but you sure don't lie. So I'm going to continue to prepare myself and stand in faith. Amen. Oh, Meta done entered the chat. Hey, friend, I ain't seen you in so long. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream and no one can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. He didn't stand there and he didn't go and take credit for God's word. I am merely a vessel. I am so thankful to God that God has chosen me for this work. This is freaking exciting. Helping people know God, helping people know the goodness of the Lord is freaking exciting. But nothing that comes out of my mouth is of me. Me interpreting this Bible is simply the skills that I have, thank you for the love, are simply the skills that I have picked up over time with the ability to do so. But I will always know, and you guys in the community have every right to humble my ass. Meta has every right to pull up on me like, sis, remember you said you the vessel. This ain't you. But I've also told you guys, thank you for the love, Meta. I've also told you guys, you the vessel. This ain't you. But I've also told you guys, thank you for the love, Meta. I've also told you guys,
You're reading the Bible, okay, bye.
But God, okay, so like I said, just I'm gonna pop my stuff because I'm human, right? I'm allowed to feel good. Like I wake up every day. Now God wakes me up every day, but I clicked go live on this thing. I am reading the Bible. I am doing these things, so I'm allowed to sit in the joy, in the of the work that I have put in. But in doing that, I understand that I am just a messenger and a servant. So no, I cannot interpret your dreams, but I can connect to higher consciousness and be the vessel for which it comes for. Thank you, friend. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing in the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean and the ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after that they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one of the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that followed it will be so severe. Do y'all see how easily we just abandon all of our blessings soon as the hardship comes in? We forget all of our blessings because we're sitting in hardship. Be mindful. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh, to be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man? One is whom is the Spirit of God." Hello, you're looking at him, homie. And then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Joseph in charge of Egypt. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Woo-wee! He came up out of prison and became in charge of the whole land of Egypt. He was in charge, went to prison for 2 years because the lady lied on him, and then was put back in charge only by throne. Whew! That's what God did. Then Pharaoh took and think, divine timing. Okay, boom. So if we have to wait on Lord's timing, right? On the Lord's timing, wait on the Lord, divine timing. Had the cupbearer came out of prison and spoke of Joseph, Joseph would have just been restored. If he may have just been let out of prison, we don't know. He might have just, who knows? But what I'm saying is, Joseph had to be released from prison in the exact way that he was released in order for him to have the value that he has. I'm looking at the value of life on my wall. In order for him to have the value to Pharaoh, otherwise he would have just been like, oh, like when the president does the pardons at the end of the year. Here's some people. You're out. But Joseph had not only to be released from prison, but Joseph had to be elevated to the point of only enthroned will you be second to me. That wouldn't have happened under no other circumstances except he showed his value to Pharaoh. So even when people aren't doing what they said, that they said, yes, these are contradictory messages because we live a lot of life. There are so many different angles that we must entertain all of them. There is no one answer to life. There is a multitude of answers, and you must play it according to how it's playing out. My daughter always tells me, what am I supposed to do? I was like, I can play it as many different angles as I could play it for you. But at the end of the day, when it actually manifests, you may have to pull from this. You may have to pull from that. You may have to pull from this. You may have to pull from that. But we are aware of all the possibilities. So yes, keep your word when you say you're going to do something. But if 2 years later you're reminded, yo, there's people 7 years later, I finally was in the position to pay back. And I went to them and I paid them back to keep my credit clean. 7 years later. I ain't got to pay nobody's back 7 years later if I don't want to. But it's like, boom, I'm finally in the position to pay this debt. Here you go. So if 2 years later, right now, if you were sitting in your home and you're sitting wherever you're sitting and you're reminded of something you said you were going to do and you never did it, do it. Because you might not have been supposed to be doing it then. You're supposed to do it now. And the time that you're doing it now is divinity. If it's brought to your field of awareness, it's something that needs to be addressed. It is for you to discern how to address it. Thank you, Meta. It is for you to discern how to address it. But if it is brought back up to you, it is divinity, and you must execute. Are you walking with God or not? 2 years later, I made my point. Divine timing, man. From his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. Oh, then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger. He put in jewelry. He took a ring off of his finger and put it on Joseph. That wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. If you knew that you had to wait an additional 2 years to be elevated to the highest post, would you wait those 2 years? And how would you wait those 2 years? Would you wait those 2 years like that motherfucker said they was going to do frickin'? Or are you going to wait those 2 years knowing, yo, you promised me, so I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up if I knew at the additional 2 years of me just being faithful and truly walking in faith and holding the faith of a mustard seed and knowing that my God is going to show up the way that I know that my God has told me, because I'm in my God's word in multiple different ways. I'm in my God's word. You know, you got to keep the faith. Be encouraged no matter what's going on. I just thought about a pastor that just breaks out in song, but I'm the pastor that can't sing. You make it all right, but you gotta stay strong. You can't meet God on your knees. You gotta meet God in your worship. You have to be elevating God and praising God in order for God to meet you. If you get so depleted into depression and feeling like there's nothing, that's not God that's meeting you. Then Pharaoh took he dressed him in robes and of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. He wasn't doing all this before, and if he was, we didn't know about it. But we show now how Joseph is getting treated now. Divine timing. And God will surely take your enemies and put them under your feet to elevate you. Sure will. Step right on their back. On your back. Thank you. And people shouted before him, make way! Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife. So Joseph got him a girlie, y'all. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. I just want to know where'd your wife go? Because you was on some stuff, sis. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So Joseph got sold into slavery when he was 17 years old. So from 17 to 30, he'd been going through it. But in all of that time, he remained in service of God. 30 years of a lifetime in service of God and delivering God's messages, because these are the two messages that we're aware of. But you don't get to the point where you can interpret God's word simply by, I've done it twice, I'm here. No, it's a lifetime of showing up, working on connection with your intuition, and knowing when you are actually hearing from God versus you are, replicating flesh. So Joseph been in this, but he's been in captivity since he was 17, and he's finally allowed to live at 30. That's some deep stuff. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in the 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping record because it was beyond measure, beyond measure, beyond measure, beyond measure. Woo! Amen. Before the year of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." Yeah, God pulled up for real, for real. The second son, but he had to wait on the Lord. He had to wait. God's timing, man. I think God's time is accelerated when you become intentional about learning what you need to learn in the wilderness. Your time in the wilderness is extended, or the opposite of extension, descension. I don't know what the opposite of extending, but it's shortened, determining how much and how fast you are learning. Your suffering is extended by your willingness or unwillingness to learn the lessons associated in your time of darkness. It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. It says it right there. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had said, there was famine in all of the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all of the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt. And all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe everywhere. All right. Ain't this the ultimate lick? The people were ordered to give a percentage of their grain and whatnot. Thank you for the love. The people were obligated to give a percentage of their grain, their taxes, to the higher authority. And then when the people needed that grain back, it was sold to them. I think that's shiesty, but I get it. I still think it's shiesty. All right, guys, those of you who are new to Bible study, I'm Lonnie Appleton. I am a healthy family advocate at the core. I have been instructed by God to come here daily, Monday through Saturday. I take Sundays off at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time. It is 1:57, so 2 hours ago is 12 noon my time, and read the Bible. And really just have commentary, because we don't have all of these other concordance. We don't have all of these other reference points. Many of us don't even have a Bible. This thing just came in my house a couple months ago, and my Bible been in the garage for years. So if we were to pick this thing up to increase relationship or whatever holy text you choose, I choose the Bible simply because I have history with this and I feel comfortable enough to be able to rip this thing backwards and forwards. I cannot pick up a Quran. I cannot pick up the Tao. I can't pick up all these other holy texts and say anything about it because I have no history. But I have history with this book. And many of us have history with this book, and it's not a good history. But God said there is a place for us spiritual people who have turned our backs on the church because we understand what the church is, does not mean we turn our backs on this book and then go read secular books to find God. Aside from this connectivity that we have with our higher selves, we also have access to this text. And yes, it is full of crap, but there's also some goodness in here too. And so we are instructed to come in 2024 and read this book in its entirety with all this commentary. I'm going to be in the middle of the book by the end of the year. I need to slow down on the commentary, but we've got to tear this book apart in order to find what we need from it. Thank you for the love, Meta. So I come daily and I read the Bible. And after I read the Bible, based on what we discussed, I talked about, and what you guys are now open to exploring within the text that we read, you can now journal from that perspective. What did I learn from today's reading, and how can I apply it to my life? Do you understand? We must make it applicable. We have to make this a part of our life, not based on what someone else told us, not based on what is literally on these pages, but based on how we are living our life and building our personal relationship with our God. And we deserve access to this book too. When God first called me to read the Bible, I was like, get somebody else to do it, because you ain't about to get me crucified. Because I don't walk and talk like anybody else that they would allow to peacefully read the Bible. I told you during this Bible study where Kale was preaching about the wicked and all the wicked and all the wicked. Okay, friend. You don't have to walk with God the way that I walk with God, but you don't have the right to tell me I can't have a relationship with God, or I don't know God simply because my walk does not look like yours. Because the only person who is allowing relationship with God peacefully is the person you're calling wicked. I'm not judging your walk. I ain't said nothing about your walk. I talk about them people all the time, but I ain't said nothing about your walk. But you sit here saying that I am the devil dressed in sheep's clothing simply because I don't pursue my relationship the way that you feel relationships should look. And so God was like, first of all, 99% of them people don't know me anyway. So just read the Bible. Expose them to it. Those that are willing to listen. But most importantly, my community. We deserve to get deeper in relationship. We study in the Orishas, we study in the hoodoos and the voodoos, and we're studying all these different things. We need to study this too. And that's why I come here and we journal and we process, what does this mean to me and how can I apply this to my life going forward? So now it becomes a part of our life. Now walking with God in accordance to God's word becomes a part of our life too. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to go back to school, but I also wouldn't mind reading the Bible. You gave me confirmation. God bless you and your family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's why I show up. That's why I do what I do, for that feedback right there. Because otherwise, why am I here? Why am I here, right? Like, I want to keep reading the Bible. I know I've been on here for an hour and a half, but I was like, shoot, I want to keep reading, but I agreed to read with you guys, so I'll have to wait to read chapter 42. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt, y'all. Joseph's brothers are going to Egypt because they hungry and they need some of that grain, and they going to be like, oh, Lord, that motherfucker we sold into slavery, so we got to go through him. That's just like Esau Isaac and Esau, Jacob and Esau, Jacob and Esau. Jacob had to go back to his hometown and meet up with the brother he screwed over. So there's a lot of people, days of reckoning that's happening, and they gotta pull up on the wrongdoing. They gotta make amends. They gotta make atones, you know. And as far as going to school or whatever else you're weighing, I received from Sarah Landon and the council. I never want to take any ideas as my own because they're not. Sarah Landon and the council taught me, and I internalized this: do not make a choice until there's no choice to make. Which means you become so solid on knowing, okay, my next move is going to school. Now you started putting energy into creating this reality, which means every step you take from today forward is putting you into going to school. And if you cannot solidly create that reality, I was going to say future, if you cannot solidly create that future for yourself, then there's still some work that you have to work out within yourself. And once you've done the work and you're like, okay, boom, this is what it is. Now you set that vision. And now that you've set that vision, know that every step you take going forward intentionally is preparing you for that. My daughter's going through the same thing. She's been talking about, she graduated last May and she's just floating around. So she's just like, I'm doing nothing with my life. I was like, please enjoy the freedom of life. Enjoy not having to do anything. You are free right now. You are free to read the Bible. You are free to go get a job. You are free to travel. You are free to do whatever you want to do, whatever it is you want to do. So instead of focusing on what am I supposed to do next, focus on the freedom of today. What do you have control over today? And once you get centered, now you know what your next choice is. And now you have put into the universe, you're like, okay, God, this is my next. I am going to be on stages in front of tens of thousands of people speaking the word of God. Not in the traditional sense, just simply how I speak. I glorify God in everything that I do, which was not me a year ago. Meta been around. Meta know I don't talk like this. But I've always glorified God. I just didn't know that I was glorifying God. But now I will be in front of tens of thousands of people. I am world renowned. They know me across the globe. I am elevated to heights that I can't even comprehend. And now that I hold that vision for myself, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what it's looking like. I don't know why meeting with this person and meeting with this person, what it's going to do, and why I met with that person and nothing came of it and all these different things. I don't know what the heck is going on. But in 2 years, when that person I met with and it didn't go through, and now they pull up and be like, oh, yo, I was talking to so-and-so and and boom, there it goes. And I'm not saying it's going to take 2 years, but we don't know what seeds we're sowing. We don't know what we're doing, but we know that we are holding the vision for what it is that we want to do. And we understand that everything that we're doing right now is setting us up for what we need to do tomorrow, which what we need to do tomorrow, which what we need to do tomorrow. In order for tomorrow to exist, today must happen. And that's how we know what we're doing today is setting up our tomorrow. So it is for you to get clear on what you want your tomorrow to be. And that is what your prayer is. Lord, give me a sign. But Lord, help me develop my spirit of discernment. Help me develop my knowing of intuition and knowing when you're speaking to me. Give me clear signs within my environment, because Spirit is constantly speaking to us. Spirit is telling us everything. And you can be very deliberate. If I'm supposed to go to school, I want to see 3 green cards in a row. Turning left. Get as specific as you want to. If I'm supposed to read the Bible, I want to see 2 birds sitting on my fence. Get as specific as you and see Spirit show up for you. This is a partnership. This is an agreement. You did not come here to suffer. You came here to prosper. You didn't come here to live in uncertainty. You came here to prosper. And you can tap into your divinity if you stop listening to those dummies who told you you are separate from God and you can only know God one way. You can access God in everything. And that is your gift in this lifetime. So start speaking to your environment, start speaking to God, go outside and sit in the sun, lay in the sun, look up at the sky and say, guide me. And then trust that every single thing, I don't care if the wind blows, I don't care if an ant crawls on you, I don't care how insignificant it is. It has extreme significance in your development, in your reality, and that's how you know you are moving in the flow of your divinity. Just know it's done because you set the intention and your God is showing up for you, period. All right. Hey, Trini Trin. More viewers to share. Okay, share. Thank you for sharing. All right, y'all. Trini, you're late. I'm about to go, but I appreciate you all. Do your journaling. Apply your learned knowledge, and I will be back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. I got to clean this house because God cannot dwell in filth. Period. God don't like filth. I don't like filth. But I'm not, it's trying to maintain. I was doing good after I cleared my house. I was walking my house every day and resetting it. But I was the only one. Y'all, I don't know how to get this family together. I don't. At least everyone in the family is waking up to that we're all miserable. We're all miserable in this family. And because we're all miserable in this family, we have to understand that we are all the causes of our own misery. And as long as I control the way that I deliver these messages to my family, they may not be able to receive the message, but they'll receive the seed. And as the seed is meant to take root and yield fruit, it will. But I can never plant a seed if I'm yelling and acting erratic. So it is for me to maintain my energy in these family meetings. We have family meetings twice a week. We have a family meeting today. And I've already decided my energy in the family meeting. See, that's messed up. I'm already setting the family meeting up for failure because I've already decided the energy I'm coming in with, which is like, y'all don't get it. But it's not for me to withdraw myself, and it's not for me to hold people accountable who are not meant to be, because who is supposed to be in my life? If that cupbearer was supposed to tell Pharaoh when he got out of jail, he would have did it. We're putting too much on humans. Humans are purely the vessel. If a message of the Lord is supposed to be delivered, the delivery or the message will be delivered in the time that it's supposed to be delivered. Clearly, the cupbearer was supposed to deliver the message 2 years after he said that he was going to do it, but the fact that he said that he was would do it is the seed that was planted in order for it to manifest 2 years earlier. But meanwhile, Joseph potentially, speaking from a humanity perspective, meanwhile, Joseph is spending those 2 years just pissed off at old dude and holding him to task. And man, if I ever see that, I'm going to pull up on him and da-da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, he doesn't know that he planted that seed so that 2 years later, he could be elevated to the point when his brothers pull up and say, yo, we need grain. He could be like, hey, take me to your daddy real quick. So everything is for our higher good, period. Every single thing. Go through life knowing from this moment forward, if you don't already, every single thing, no matter how it manifests, no matter how it feels, is for your higher good. And that's how you count it all joy. That's how you be encouraged. No matter what's going on, it will be all right. You just have to stay strong. You just have to maintain your vibration and be in the space of receiving, because you're learning the lessons. A diamond is built from pressure. It is revealed through pressure. It is I don't know the actual chemical composition, but it is a lump of coal or a rock, whatever. And it truly becomes a new being of value. It goes from valueless to now I'm going to go through this evolution And if a diamond had a brain and had the capacity to learn, as it is created into a new being of value, it's learning everything it can in order to walk in that space of value. So that's what we are doing. We are mere stones, rocks, that are being pressed down and transformed into something amazing that God can use. But the only way God can use us is if we are learning the lessons along the way and not staying, whatever. I made my point. All right, y'all. Have a good day.